Hello, my name is Ryan Hartwell. I'm your professor for US History 111 at Worcester State University for the Spring 2019 semester. I wanted to record a welcome video for you to go over who I am, how we're going to be doing this semester, and most importantly, why are we doing this? Why study history? So we'll start out talking about the syllabus, and then we'll move into why is history important. So I would like to start out by introducing myself. I'm Ryan Hartwell. You can call me Professor Hartwell, or you can call me Ryan. And I have a bachelor's degree in philosophy, a master's degree in Holocaust and Genocide Studies, and my PhD is in US history. So that brings me here, my second year of teaching at Worcester State, and the second time I'm doing an online course. So bear with me on these really realistic videos that are not perfectly edited and not staged by a professional actress. So we're going to start by talking about the syllabus for this semester. What I want to talk about is, first of all, you can find it on the syllabus tab on Blackboard, and you can also find it under the assignments folder. The assignments tab in Blackboard will have a folder for each week, so you can find this under week 1, along with other assignments you have for that week. So for example, this first week, there's a section on there that states that you need to go to the discussion board, which is another tab on Blackboard, and respond with, why are you here? What are you hoping to get out of this? What is your major? Are you a history major? What you're hoping you get out of the semester, basically. It's by way of an introduction that you would normally do in person in class, but we don't have that option doing this online. So that's one of your assignments for this week. Another assignment for this week is to watch this video. And another assignment for this week is to buy the books that you'll need for this class. I've put links to the Amazon website for each book. It doesn't mean you have to buy it on Amazon, but it's just so that you know which edition, which version, and that's also actually written out on the syllabus. So you should be buying edition 5 of volume 1 of both Give Me Liberty and Voices of Freedom. And all of your readings will come out of those books, and additional readings might be assigned, but they would be in the assignments tab, and you won't need to purchase anything else. You also do not need to purchase the online access for those books unless you want to. So far as the syllabus goes, we've covered the texts, and my email is on there, and you can also email me through Blackboard. There's a link to email your instructor. And basically, what we're going to be doing this semester on a really broad scale is studying U.S. history from the beginning through 1877, so through the fall of Reconstruction, which follows the Civil War. And U.S. History 2 picks up right there. So if next semester you're looking to take U.S. History 2, that's where you would start, right where this one ends. And what this is meant to do is give you a broad overview of the topics so that you can move forward and take more detailed history courses in the future, but that you'd understand the timeline of how things move through and why they are how they are. So that's the major point that we have for studying history, is trying to find out, how did we get to where we are? Why are things how they are right now? So with that, we'll be studying topics ranging from Native American settlements to European arrival and contact, and through European settlements and exploration, and how that's related to colonization and how we want to talk about this. We'll also be talking about the concept of slavery and enslaved people. We'll be talking about rebellion as a general concept and who's rebelling when and why. We'll be talking about the Declaration of Independence, obviously, one of the founding documents, along with the Constitution. We'll be talking about the Revolutionary War, and we will talk about abolitionism, we'll talk about Manifest Destiny, the railroads, the Civil War, and we'll end with Reconstruction. Reconstruction is a typical breaking point for these courses because they see it as sort of halfway through. You get to the Civil War and then you're starting kind of a new country, a new concept, a new version of citizenship. So it's often the break. We'll talk about this at the end of the semester. Eventually you'll be discussing it with each other about whether or not you think this is an appropriate break and why. But for the general concepts part of thing, we're going to be covering all of those things. Within that, we're going to be looking at them through this concept of intersectionality. Intersectionality refers to understanding concepts with race, gender, class, religion, and sexuality often combined, and understanding that everyone's viewpoint would be a little bit different on the same facts depending on those pieces of them. So as a white woman who was heterosexual in the 1860s is going to look different than an African American male in the 1860s as well. You'll understand that obviously things look different to different people because different things are happening to them that influence the way that they understand a particular phenomenon or event even. Lots of different interpretations of events based on where someone's coming from. It seems particularly important these days to remember that, and it's not a new concept, so we just have to keep it in mind that we're continuing to work within this mindset, and history having opened up to this social history in the 1980s allows for us to look through many more viewpoints than we were before. So we're going to use this concept of intersectionality to approach all of these different concepts. We'll go into deeper detail when we get to them, but think of it as the interconnectedness of all people throughout history and how they're affecting each other, how their actions matter to one another. So basically, that's what we're going to be doing in a nutshell. It's obviously going to look different once we start doing it, but this is the idea and philosophy we're moving forward with. So the way that we're going to do this is each week there are going to be assignments, as I mentioned, in the different assignments folders. The dates that are attached to those folders are the dates that the things within that are due. So week 1, they're due today, which is you need to look at the syllabus and watch this video and respond to the discussion board. It's the first day of class, and it's the first day of the semester, which is why I chose Tuesdays for things to be due. And week 2, you'll see the review paper for chapter 1 will be due on January 29th. And week 2 follows the same pattern. It's every Tuesday you'll have something done, something due to me. So the weekly responses are going to be 1-page reviews. They will be double-spaced, 12-point font, obviously typed because you're not going to mail me them. And they'll be submitted through Blackboard. There will be assignment links that you'll be able to submit these reviews to. And they're set up to use Safe Assign, which means that it would detect plagiarism, which is a thing we should talk about. I'm sure you're well aware of it, but it's always worth saying if you're going to quote something, be sure that you're putting it in quotation marks and saying where it came from. If you're going to paraphrase something, also mention where it came from. And if you don't want to do either of those things, take the concept and put it into your own words. It's understandable that our own words aren't maybe going to be as eloquent as someone who's been writing about history for decades. So don't worry about that. I'm not going to be grading on grammar unless it makes it impossible for me to understand your work. So do write in an academic frame. Please attempt to write in proper English, but if things aren't exactly perfect, if commas are missing, if you use a wrong piece of punctuation, I may point it out to you so that you know, but you won't be graded on that. That's not what we're here for. We're here for the exchange of ideas about history. So these weekly responses will be one-page responses, and they'll be answering the questions from the end of a primary document that's been assigned to you in the Voices of Freedom book. You'll see that the Voices of Freedom book is full of several primary documents for each chapter that correspond to the Give Me Liberty text. The Give Me Liberty text is a more standardized textbook. It will give you the rundown of what happened during the decades in question, and it's the major points, and it expands out into social history, which is a pretty big leap in the study of history in the past few decades. So this textbook in particular is useful in that it's not just describing people's actions. It's not saying, well, Abraham Lincoln ate a banana on May 3rd. It's more, what kind of effect did this person have on others within the country or outside of it? So you'll weekly be reading the chapter out of the Give Me Liberty textbook, and corresponding to that chapter in the Voices of Freedom book, you will see on the syllabus outlined which documents you're supposed to read by number. They're all numbered, so you should be able to find it easily. And at the end of those documents, there are several questions, and you'll answer those questions briefly in your one-page paper, and then you'll talk about how it's related to the reading for the week from the Give Me Liberty textbook. So you'll be using both books each week. And you'll also include one or two sentences about why you chose that particular document to talk about, what stood out about it to you, why were you drawn to that one, why do you care about that information, what does it mean to you. So we'll have that every week, and you'll submit it through the links provided. There will also sometimes be discussion board topics for you to respond to, like there are this week. You'll tell me who you are, why you're here, what you're hoping, that sort of thing. The questions are outlined for you at the top of the thread. And you will be notified if there's a new discussion board topic within these assignment folders for the week. So there won't be one that comes up later in the week. It won't be random. Everything's due on Tuesday so that you have a day where you know that everything should be in. And by due on Tuesday, I mean due by the end of the day. So by 11:59 p.m., end of day. Everything will be due at that point for that week. So you could submit it earlier if you wanted to. There's nothing to say you can't do that. You may want to pace yourself so that you stay engaged with the class, but if you want to submit it earlier, that's totally up to you. I realize everybody has different schedules that they need to work around, so do what works for you. This is your class. There will also be 2 exams this semester. There will be a midterm exam and a final exam. So the midterm exam is dated for March 8th, and that's a Friday, which means it's due by the end of day, meaning 11:59 p.m. on that Friday. It will be posted at least 2 weeks ahead of time so that you can work on it, and it will be a combination of short answers, and then essay format. And excuse me. There will be a final exam on May 17th, which is the last day of the finals period, but again, that will be posted 2 weeks ahead of time so that you can do it ahead of time if you want to. And you can submit it anytime up until the end of the day on May 17th. We will also have a 5 to 7 page research paper, and that will be due April 12th by the end of the day, which is also a Friday. So the major things are due on Fridays, the regular things are due on Tuesdays, but everywhere on the syllabus and in that assignment week folder, everything's dated and noted. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to email me. And if it seems like a lot of people have a question, I'll email the whole group. And we can adapt things however we need to adapt them to work for people. In addition to the weekly responses and the discussion board, you will also have the chance to watch the PowerPoint presentations. It would be as if they were an in-class lecture. I will record over them so that there's a narration going on for you, reading out the slides, but you also have the slides to look at and the photos on the slides that we can talk about in the different maps, including election maps or expansion of territory following a war. So please watch those in addition to reading. It will reinforce all of the information in the book and also add some information or some clarification for things. And the information found on the midterms and the finals will all be covered in class. So there aren't going to be any surprise facts that you'll need to remember. I'm also unlikely to ask you dates and unlikely to ask you specific people's names. It's more of a concept that I'm hoping that you walk away with, or that you understand what happened in a particular time frame and maybe why and what effect that had on the future. So there are obviously names that you're going to walk away with, and there are names you're coming in with. So some of that is still important, but at this stage in the survey courses for U.S. history, the idea is that you will understand the larger arcs and concepts that move throughout history and how they're related to each other and what the patterns are over time. So you'll also see on the syllabus there's a section about grading. So it's broken up into 5 different 20% categories. So the weekly responses are worth 20% of your grade. The midterm, final, and research paper are all each worth 20% of your grade. And finally, participation is worth another 20% of your grade. The participation means that I can see that you've opened up the PowerPoint presentations, and I can see that you've been submitting your assignments. I can see that you've been participating in the discussion board. So the idea for breaking this up into different 20% categories is that if you're not good at one of those things, it does not mean that you'll fail this course. So I'm trying to help you setting up this course so that nobody has to fail. The way that you would fail is that you don't submit things and that you aren't trying and you don't correct things when you do submit them. If they're not quite up to par and I return them to you, you'll have the option of correcting them if it's a really bad situation. So I'm also open to you having a conversation with me that something's difficult for you, and we can try to work through it and figure out how best to move you through that part of the class. So I think we've gone over how the assignments are going to work. And if you have questions about how all of this is going to work, or about where you need to submit something or where you need to find something, please let me know. I'm here to help you. I'm here to be your professor, even though we're not going to meet in person. So we could move on to the why we're studying history. I apologize, my computer tried to go to sleep there a minute. And that's what I'm recording on, so I don't know if you saw me react or not. I'll find out. So my editing skills are not fantastic. So I will probably leave all of this in here for you. I apologize. So we'll move on to why history. Why are we studying this? The question I have is, how would you expect to know why we are, how we are, unless we've been able to look at how we got here? You wouldn't know why people say a particular thing or why they feel a particular way about people, an event, words, unless you understood how they'd come to be. There is a video that I've posted in this assignment spot that sort of succinctly describes how I feel about it. And while you may be extremely interested in the exact dates and names of particular things, again, that's not the emphasis here, but as a PhD historian, I've obviously been interested in this as well. But that will generally come in later courses, so long as you have the bones to build it on. So I'm curious to see in your responses why you are interested in studying history. And maybe it's that it's a requirement, and you're welcome to say that, but if you can see any worth in this or write perhaps why you think it's a requirement. Obviously, they don't require everything when you're in college, so why do you think they require that you take a history course? Why are you taking history courses in high school? Part of what you might notice is different about this course versus what you've done in high school, middle school, all the way back to elementary school, is that there will be a lot of difficulty that we're studying. There are a lot of sensitive topics that we're going to be covering. There are a lot of, frankly, depressing topics that we're going to be covering. There's no real way around that when you're talking about the beginning of slavery in earnest in the United States, and several wars, and the treatment of women throughout history, and the treatment of the poor throughout history. So we're going to be touching on a lot of unfortunate topics, but by describing how things were, we can do two things. We can see how far we've come, and we can also see what Mark Twain referred to as the echoes. He said, history does not repeat itself, but it echoes. So we don't see the exact repetition of things. We don't see it over and over again, the same cast of characters doing the exact same thing. We see different people from different eras doing similar things or having similar reactions that are based on the previous experiences. So if you could sort of think of Pavlov's dogs or Skinner's rats or something, like we've all been trained to do things in a particular way, and this is why. If we can move further back in history and understand how we've been shaped, we can more easily understand how we can avoid some of the same mistakes and how we can repeat some of the successes, because there have been many of both. So this is the official welcome to US History 111. I will do probably some check-in videos with you from time to time, but it won't be videos of me every week explaining things to you. I'll be talking over a PowerPoint. And I could be available for video chats should you need that, but I will be readily available through email. I provided the email on the syllabus, and again, you can find it on the link in Blackboard. And I have the Worcester State email hooked up to my phone, so it should be a relatively quick response. And if you have any questions starting at the beginning of this class, at the very outset, please feel free to ask. No question is a bad question, and just gives us more information about each other. With that, I say complete the assignments in the first week folder, and I will be uploading different PowerPoints, and I look forward to the semester with you.